It hasn't been the busiest year for Xbox players when looking at exclusives. Nevertheless, the Xbox Series X and S has seen some pretty good-looking titles since their launch. Let's take a look at 15 of them here, from first party to third party. Halo Infinite. For all the reports of its reduced scale and performance issues on PC at launch, the Slipspace engine did deliver on the promise of a somewhat open world in Halo Infinite. Environments were lush with sharp textures and vibrant lighting and shadows, while the effects were on point. It achieved all of this while still running at 4K 60 frames per second on the Xbox Series X, which is still an impressive feat. Forza Horizon 5. Of course, when talking about impressive graphical feats, Forza Horizon 5 bears mentioning. It shines on the Xbox Series X with its 4K and 60 frames per second settings, even if a native 4K requires knocking the frame rate down to 60 frames per second. With incredible draw distances, minimal pop-in, excellent occlusion and shadows, and hundreds of detailed vehicles, the fact that Forza Horizon 5 can deliver this much and more during different weather conditions with other competitors on the road is insane. Cyberpunk 2077. Despite a brutal launch, CD Projekt Red significantly upped Cyberpunk's quality on Xbox Series X and S. Night City felt much more alive with larger crowd density, HDR implementation, and ray tracing, and having options for 4K 60 frames per second didn't hurt either. The latest patch even added AMD FSR2 support with improved performance and image quality. For a game which delivered with its art direction and atmosphere, it's nice to see Cyberpunk 2077 shining on current gen. Psychonauts 2. Psychonauts 2 on Xbox Series X and S is most notable for being the only current-gen console version of the game. On Series X, it delivers 4K 60 frames per second and 1440p 120 frames per second, while Series S provides 620 60 frames per second and 1080p 120 frames per second. Of course, the game's art direction, animation work, texture quality, and lighting are all stellar, but having HDR and variable refresh rate makes it all the better. A Plague Tale Requiem. Asobo Studio made its mark with A Plague Tale Innocence, but with A Plague Tale Requiem it delivers a larger scale and more vibrant environments, and of course hundreds of thousands of rats on screen at once. Everything has seen a massive upgrade, from skin shaders and cloth textures to hair and skyboxes. 4K, reconstructed from native 1440p, also looks great, and even if the frame rate is at 30 frames per second on 60Hz displays, you can't deny the visual splendor on display. The Artful Escape. Not every game on this list needs to be photorealistic to stand out. The Artful Escape is incredible to behold due to its vivid art direction. As Francis Verdetti, players embark on a beautiful journey full of colors, lights, and surreal celestial imagery, based on doodles made by Johnny Galvatron, who founded Beethoven and Dinosaur. The Artful Escape channels Spielberg, Kubrick, and Anderson as its influences, but never feels garishly derivative. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It's tough to top the gorgeous visuals that Ori and the Blind Forest had to offer, but Will of the Wisps is on another level altogether. The shift to 3D models and multi-layered backgrounds helped convey the ethereal fantasy vibe all the better. Xbox Series X is even better, given that it benefits from 4K HDR and a locked 120 frames per second. There's even a 6K super sampling mode with 60 frames per second in HDR in addition to the highest graphical fidelity. Having 4K 60 on Xbox Series S doesn't hurt either. Dying Light 2: Stay Human. Techland's long-awaited sequel to Dying Light saw the debut of its new C engine, and the Xbox Series X version's quality mode highlights several improvements. There's ray tracing, better shadow quality, screen space shadows, and ambient occlusion. Even with minor frame skip issues, the art style and overall design of the city, mixed with great facial animations, make for a big step up. Resident Evil Village. Capcom's RE engine is very flexible, capable of scaling down to Nintendo Switch hardware for games like Monster Hunter Rise. However, when it stretches its legs on current-gen consoles, you get Resident Evil Village. Incredible texture quality, animations, effects, shadows, and lighting work side by side with ray tracing, 4K support, HDR, and much more to deliver a downright gorgeous experience. Where the series could go from here remains to be seen, but the fidelity is simply immaculate. The GUNK. While Image and Form is known for its amazing 2D titles, the GUNK is a 3D platformer. Environments are still colorful, while the titular GUNK oozes and pulses in an almost hypnotic fashion, and full of details and effects. Texture quality, lighting, and weather conditions are also on point, and it's all wondrous to behold. Even if the GUNK isn't the developer's most standout title, it's still one of its most gorgeous. SCORN. SCORN is an unapologetically disgusting-looking game, which is the point. Inspired by the works of H.R. Geiger and Zdzisław Beskiński, the Xbox Series X brings its fleshy interiors and surreal horror to life in 4K and 60 frames per second. Even if it's not super palatable, the shadows, detailed textures, and volumetrics are respectable, if nothing else. Elden Ring. From Software's magnum opus is arguably the biggest game of the year, and while influences from the Souls series are apparent, it's still a wonder to behold. The variety of environments, the extensive details, lighting, and shadows go well with detailed boss designs. Even with performance issues at launch, its art design is some of the best work the developer has done. The Ascent. It's surprising that Neon Giant, the Ascent's developer, only consists of 12 developers. The sheer detail seen in its action RPG twin shooter is insane. Environments are complex in terms of geometry and lighting sources. The sheer amount of things to see, from NPCs and effects to background objects and lighting, is incredible. The particle effects and destructibility that occur when combat breaks out are just the icing on the cake. Gears 5. Gears 5 pushed the boundaries of what the Xbox One was capable of, both in terms of aesthetics and fidelity. With the Xbox Series X, the Coalition further builds on that with 4K support, dynamic resolution scaling included, and PC-level settings for better shadows, level of detail, and screen space reflections. It even has screen space global illumination, which uses a software-based ray tracer, variable rate shading, and variable refresh rate support. Even by today's standards, it stands toe-to-toe with some of the best. Control. Remedy Entertainment has always been known for its gritty visual design, and Control is no different. The brutalist architecture mixed with heaps of particle effects and real-time destruction during combat felt like an incredible contrast. Of course, enough can't be said about the supernatural occurrences, whether it's the Ashtray Maze and eerie Ocean View Motel or the incredible ray tracing implementation. And that brings us to the end of the video. A quick request: we upload new videos every single day, and if you like what we're doing, please consider subscribing. It really helps us out. Also, don't forget to enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon so that you can receive daily video updates. Thanks for watching.